Yeah, so hopefully you either have a laptop or you're signed into one of the uni desktops. So make sure you do that now. You'll need like VS Code set up if you follow on with the code. So first of all, with the Computer Science Club, hopefully you know that already. There's this QR code for the Facebook events page, and Duck Lounge is literally next door, and you can check those out on the website. So firstly, just like to say the Ghana acknowledgement. We acknowledge and pay respects to the Ghana people, the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands we gather on. We acknowledge the deep feelings of and relationship of the Ghana people, the country, and we respect the value of the past, present, and ongoing the land and cultural beliefs. So first of all, this is going to be a web dev workshop series. So this is the first workshop we're having. So this will be covering Intro to Web Dev. So this is going to cover HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We'll also be covering Intro to React in week 6 and Intro to Express and SQLite in week 7. So just an overview of tonight's content is basically we have a bunch of stuff on HTML, making sure you understand all the basics, similar thing with CSS, and also for JavaScript. So just some quick links, so if you can copy that link. The first one's for the GitHub, so if you can clone that repo and download it and open it in VS Code, that'll be good. And you can just follow on with the code. And there's also a link to the slides as well if you want to look at them later on. So first of all, let's start with the HTML's content. So what is HTML? Hypertext Markup Language, or HTML, is a markup language. In simple terms, it defines the structure for displaying a content in a web browser, and basically every single website you visit uses HTML.
I'm sorry, real quick. Is this like accessible, the PowerPoint accessible somewhere?
Yeah, if you go on the link, the second one. You just give you a few seconds of go on it. What is slides one?
Yeah, slides. Won't load
Just add like HTTPS : / to it. Otherwise, like the code is the main thing. We can upload the slides later on. So I'll just continue with the content. So basically, next thing is elements. So elements in HTML are the basic building blocks of a web page. It provides a skeleton of how a page will be structured. And it's important to name your main file index.html. And the reason behind this is that we want to visit, for example, example.com, and the server looks for a file named index.html. Because most of the time when you visit a website, it just looks at the /, which is equivalent to the root. So it just looks for this file in the root directory to display. And if you don't have this file, it basically has an error and it doesn't display anything. So you can see there's a basic HTML file, and we'll talk more about this in a sec. So tags, so HTML elements are defined by tags. Tags are typically composed of pairs with an opening tag and a closing tag. And you can see some content within them. You may also encounter self-closing tags, which only consist of one tag. So you can see in the last two examples, they are self-closing tags. And tags can also have attributes, but we'll get to those later.
The code and the slides are visible. I can see them.
Good. So the structure of HTML is mainly composed of a doc type declaration, you can see in the top, a language declaration, and a head and a body. So the doc type specifies the web page's HTML content. The language defines that's in English, basically. And the head tag defines what metadata of the website like the title, character set, and external files, for example, like JavaScript and CSS. And also the body is where anything that will be shown on the web page is defined. So the main thing is text. So obviously you're going to have a lot of text in your web page. So there's two main types of text in HTML. So first is headings. So headings are defined by the H tag and in different levels from H1 to H6, where H1 is the biggest font. So you can see in that image there, the main heading or H1 is basically biggest, H3 is smaller, and then H6 will be even smaller than that. You also have paragraphs, that's defined by the P tag, and that's where most of your base text will be defined. Lists are used to organize items, and there's two types of lists, ordered and unordered. Lists have the list type, and then items in the list are defined with the li element, li tag rather, and ordered lists are generally have items ordered from one to the number of items and use the ol tag, and unordered lists have items in dot points. Links and images, you also see lots of links and images in your websites you see. So how they work is that links are defined using the A tag and require a href attribute. The href attribute specifies a URL to a link. So you can see in that example is example.com. Yeah, it just takes you to that website basically. And images are embedded with an image tag, and where the source attribute specifies what image is to be displayed. And the alt attribute is an alternative text. So you can see an example there. Since that image doesn't exist, it just shows like a placeholder question mark basically. And then for the link, if you click on it, it just opens the link. For inputs are normally organized in forms, in the form tags, and can be defined with the input tag. If you want to use text in a form, it's generally good practice for a label to be used. Just so it's more semantic, easier for accessibility and screen readers. And there's also many different types of inputs, and they can be defined by the attribute type. So for example, there's like a name and email with a basic submit. Divs and spans can also be used to divide a page and organize ideas and styling. Divs are block level elements used to style large blocks. And spans, on the other hand, are inline elements used to style segments of text. So you can see here, there's like the basic diagram of how it works. So basically, in an actual website, so for example, the CSQLite website, there's a ton of divs within divs within divs. That's basically how websites work and how you like format and organize them. Block and inline elements. Block elements take up all the available width starting on a new line. And some block elements include div, h1, p, and section. And inline elements only take up as much space as needed and can start anywhere on the line. Some inline elements are span, a, and image. And semantics, I mentioned this a bit earlier. There's a bunch of different tags in HTML which can be used for specific purposes. So there's things like the body, header as well. But basically these tags give meaning to the web page and allow browser engines to better interpret the page. So for example, you can have the main tag and the section tag and the footer tag just to make sure it's better for accessibility, SEO, so that's basically like Google ranking, and readability for like screen readers. I think there's Justin going. Now, since we've done that, we'll do a little demo for the HTML. So hopefully you managed to clone the repo, although it should be fine if you haven't. So basically I just walked through this HTML code. I'll make a new folder actually. So yeah, basically if you make a new folder within the repo, call it anything you like, and then you make the new HTML file index.html. If you're using VS Code, you can use the exclamation mark, and then it gives you the boilerplate code. So basically that includes all the doc type, language, the title, and empty body basically. So if you want to show this code, if you have the live server extension, yeah.
Can you make the code a bit bigger?
Oh yeah,
As in like much bigger?
that's better. Yeah, so if you're using VS Code, you can use the live server extension. So this basically just makes it easier to preview HTML files and has automatic reloading, so you don't have to manually refresh the page. So yeah, if you want to go back here, you can open with live server, and it's basically empty because we haven't added any content. If we add hello world as a paragraph, it shows up here, which is nice. So let's see what we had. So basically, if you want to follow on, there's also a markdown files for each of the exercises. So you can open a preview of them, and it shows it basically all the steps. So yeah, the first thing we want to do is get a header. So for now, we're going to try making a simple personal profile website. I kind of themed it around Minecraft. Yeah, so first of all, get rid of the hello world. You can have Steve as a h1 tag, and then shows up as a header one here. Now we want to create an about me section. So basically what we're going to do is have multiple subheadings, as well as a description, short description about Steve. So basically there's some hints there if you need some more guidance. But basically for the subheading, we're gonna use a h2 tag. And then just call it about me, and that shows up there. And then we're gonna have it automatically fill it in. And that's basically what I wanted. So we Copilot have autofills, but yeah, so you include a paragraph, and that's about Steve, I guess. And then that shows up there. Now we want to make sections, so we're going to make some sections for hobbies, skills, and one fun fact. And for the fun fact, we're trying to get an image added as well. And the hobbies and skills are going to be in an unordered list. And then each section will have another heading too. So we're going to do that now. And then it shows up the headings there. I'm just going to copy the example ones just to save time, but for the hobbies, we're going to use an unordered list. So under the hobbies, it's seeing a chicken jockey going to the nether and wearing my diamond armor full set. And then since it's an unordered list, it just has these dot points. And now similar thing for skills. as another dot points for the skills. Yep.
I can help.
Okay. Okay, now for the fun fact, or singular fun fact, we'll have an image tag. So basically that has an image. As a tag, we'll have a source attribute. So basically that's a Reddit link with an image. And then we also have an alternate attribute called the stash. The reason why is, and then it shows the image. You might also notice that this image is way too big and you have to like scroll sideways to see it. And that's one of the main reasons why you need CSS to style it properly. And then just add a paragraph for after that. It's just the fun fact for Steve, I guess. I'll continue with the CSS section. Okay, it might take a few minutes break. Anyone have any questions so far for the HTML content or having trouble setting it up on their device?
How do we load the thing using the extension?
These guys have my HTML file.
Full views. If anyone has any questions, please put your hand up and then either Justin or myself can help you.
Wait, is there free food for you? There is.
Yeah.
Wait, no, please say it's not pizza. No. Someone can't access I mean that one slice I left? No, there's like a box. Yeah, I was there. I walked in. Oh yeah. I had inside there was one slice that I left it. Oh no. I was the one who ordered. Oh, to get with it. Yeah. That's a random move, dude. Yeah, all day. What's it going?
Okay, we'll continue with the CSS section now. What is CSS? CSS cascading, and it's the custom units of the structures defined in HTML. So, for example, you have a H1 and you start green, change the font and the font size. Same with the paragraph. The structure of CSS is so many different there's lots of different things you can look up. There's lots of ways to customize the HTML. So the structure is a key value property followed by value. So for example, here it's color, and then the value is yellow. So selectors, you target the HTML code to apply the styling. So there's three main selectors. So the first one is class. Choose the full stop class, and it can be given to multiple tags. So you can target multiple images, for example, multiple different mixed content. And ID, use a hashtag ID, only assigns one element to a particular ID. So this is mainly if you want to just, for example, apply things to a footer or a header. And also element, which applies to all elements of the same type. So you can apply to all the paragraph elements or all the divs. Colors, so there's four main types of color settings. So the first one's name colors. So you can do things in like simple English, like white, yellow, green, most of the basic colors. You can also do it in hexadecimal, RGB, and HSL. And do note that we have to use color, the American spelling for it, since I guess the web was made in US, so they use American English. So just keep that in mind when you're coding. Styling text, there's a bunch of different properties that you can do. So the first one is changing text color. You can do setting the text weight or boldness, setting the text size, the font. You can make it horizontal alignment of the text, adding decoration to the text like underlining, and also styling the font, so like adding things like italics as well. Now, the main important thing of CSS is the box model. So this is kind of the fundamental thing of CSS to figure out how the layout of all the elements exists. So it's composed of four main elements. So the first one is the main content. So this is the actual content of the element. For example, like the text, divs, images. Padding is basically the space between the content and the border, and it's basically creates space inside the element. Border is basically between the padding and the margin, and you can apply border styling, so the padding if you want. So for example, you can make a black border around it, or you can make dotted things for the tables or something like that. And then lastly, we have the margin, which creates space between one element and another. So this is useful if you want to space out multiple images throughout the page. So there's more on layout. So there's two main ways of organizing elements. It does go more in depth, so you can have a look at those links if you want to find out more. But basically, there's flex. So you use flexbox to determine how the elements are sorted. And image, you can see there's a bunch of different content you can do to organize the elements how you want. There's also grid, which is more grid-like, so it's more structured with rows and columns. So those are just two different ways how you can organize the elements. And if you want to learn more about CSS, there's some naming conventions there, some CSS tricks. There's a good website for learning more about this. And also another thing is Tailwind CSS. So Tailwind is basically what we use for the Computer Science Club projects, and also more so in industry. They don't teach you in WDC because it's more advanced, I guess. But basically, it's a better way of doing inline CSS styling. So for example, you can have like MT2, which basically converts to margin top to rem or something. It's just a shorthand for applying this, and it just makes the developer experience more easier. And then basically what the browser does, or at compile time, compile time rather, it converts this to the proper CSS code that your browser can understand. Okay, I'll continue with some more of the exercises. Okay, so we're going to continue with the personal profile website we made. So basically, we're going to firstly link the CSS file to the HTML file. And the way we do this is having a link tag. So basically, the rel attribute is just saying it's the CSS style sheet. And then the href is basically the link, so styles.css. Yeah, so if you go in the same folder from before and just make a new file, styles.css, and then go back to the HTML code and then copy that link to the head of the HTML. So, for example, we already have the title in the head. We're just going to add that there. Now, you may notice that if you have a look at the code, look at it layout, it may differ depending on if you're like on Safari or on Chrome or like Safari on your phone. So first of all, we're going to do some cleanup of the basic styling that HTML does to make it more consistent between browsers. So basically, we're going to use the asterisk selector, which basically selects all the elements on the document. And then we're going to set the padding and margin to 0 and box sizing to a border box. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it there. And then you should notice that the thing is basically more compressed, which is good. So now we can actually apply the stylings that we want. So the first thing we want to do is style the body. So basically you want to change the font family for the entire page, add some line height for readability, setting the text and background color, adding padding, margin, and the max width for better spacing. So again, there's hints there if you want. Just to save time, I'm just going to copy and paste. Basically in this body, so this is targeting the body element. So this is basically all the HTML tags in the body container. And then there's the font family. So we have Sigo UI, and then basically it lists the fonts that you want in order. So for example, if this font's not there, well, the next best would be Tahoma, and then other ones, and then lastly will be just a generic sans serif font, which should be available in all the operating systems. And then next we have line height, which basically tells you determines the different line height of the text. Again, we have a color, so this is like a nice gray color for the text. And then we have a background color, which is like an off-white, adding some padding, adding some margin, so it should center it, and also the max width, which just determines the max width of the content. So now you can see it's been shifted to the right, basically. Let me make it bigger. Yeah, so now we're going to do some more heading styles to make it look nicer. So it already has the fonts from the main body tags. So we're going to just change some of the colors, sizes, and borders to make it more readable, basically. So basically here we're targeting the h1 tag, which is like the main header, changing the color, font size, adding some margin and padding to the bottom, as well as border, and just aligning the text to the center. So you can see here, it changed the color, made it to the center, and it's also, the whole thing should be center of the page, except this giant image. So now we continue adding the styling for the h2 tags. So similar thing, it just has slightly different values. And now it shows, it just looks a bit nicer, has some more colors. And it also has the border left, so this is that brown line basically. So now we're going to style the paragraphs. So these are like the main text of it. So it's at the top there and at the bottom. Oh, never mind, I actually did it already. And that's done in the body. Yeah, so link styling. Oh, I forgot the other thing. Good to add this as well. Yeah, so I just added some HTML code for the content. So these are just local links, so hrefs, and they just go to the different subsections. So there's one for hobbies, fields, and facts, and it's just an unordered list. So if you click on it, it does nothing. It should like scroll to the different sections. Oh, I didn't add the IDs. Okay, that's why. So if you don't have the IDs, it won't do anything. So this depends on the IDs being there. So for example, here, where is it? I'm just going to copy that. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy from the example. So basically, the main difference is adding these IDs. So these IDs are the unique IDs for the elements. So we have one for about, content, hobbies, skills, and then the fact. And so now since these are targeting the IDs, you should actually scroll now. So the IDs are kind of important if you want to use like local links to scroll to different subsections of the page. Okay, now we're going to do some more list stylings just to make it look a bit nicer. Add some more using flex to center the content and adding some spacing between the items. No, forgot the links. Okay, just add the link styling first. So this is just changing the colors. Make the text decoration basically tells it to not underline if you set it to none, and then when you hover, it sets it to underline. So basically, what this :hover is basically a pseudo CSS class. So basically, targets the same a tag but basically there's a bunch of different conditions and you can select it. So for example, one is the hover. So you can see here, if you don't hover, it's not underlined, and if you hover on the link, it underlines it. So now this is basically targeting both the H2 and the unordered list. And the list, so it's just applying a background color, some padding, some border radius, and just setting the default list style type to none. So basically it just makes the list have a background. It removes actual dot points, so that's basically what the list style type does. So if you don't want to show it but still make it a list, you can do so. And then just applying some more styling, so that about tag, and then for the content ID as well, just to set the display and add some gaps. And then the image styling, so basically it's too big right now, so we want to fix it by adjusting the size and then adding some spacing and a border. So basically we have the max width is 100%, so 100% is 100% of your window size basically, and then the height is automatic, so it keeps the same aspect ratio, and it's just applying a brown border, making it have a curve radius as well, and adding some margin. So you can see it actually fits on the main page properly, you don't have to scroll to see it, which is quite good. And then the next thing was making it responsive. So basically we have these media query tags for CSS. So it starts with like add media, and then you can have, for example, max width of 600 pixels. So that's basically depends on your device's resolution. So basically in this, it's just changing the body H1 and H2 styling, and just changing the padding for the body and adjusting the font size for H1 and H2. So basically doesn't do that much if you look at it normally, but if you change the window size, it slightly adjusts the padding around there if you make it more like mobile. So this is basically how web developers try to optimize for mobile phones. They use a bunch of these media queries. For example, on the CS Hub website, there's a bunch. It's way easier with Tailwind because it makes it more easier to code up. But basically, you have to cater to different screen resolutions. Yeah, so that's basically all the CSS exercise. So you can see that the pages looks way better than before. It doesn't look like a page from like the 90s or something. It still looks old, I guess, because it's still pretty basic, but it looks way better than before. And the image is a reasonable size as well. So back. So anyone had any questions or needed any help, just raise your hand.
Did you use any class selector?
Hmm?
Did you use any of the class selectors? You said you have like 3 types of selectors.
Yeah, and this is just using the ID and element selectors.
Yeah. What are they in the HTML? So you can have one with classes? Okay,
So we'll get started with the JavaScript section now. So we had HTML, which basically adds the structure for the web, CSS, which adds the styling. Now JavaScript is basically making it more interactive. So JavaScript or JS is a programming language, and it's not the same as Java. They're completely different languages. So what we use with HTML allows you to create dynamic and interactive web content, and it's built into most browsers and runs client side. So the first thing is the console. So the console is a tool that developers use to log information as the code runs. So basically, you can open up a browser, you can access the console in most web browsers by either like F12 or Control-Shift-I on Windows or Command-Option-I. And then, for example, if you do simple console.log with hello world, it should show up in the console in the logs. So variables, I'm assuming most of you have learned at least one programming language, but variables in context of JavaScript is again mainly used to store data. It's three main types of variables: var, let, and const. Const is basically constants, so you cannot change them. Let variables only available in the block of the frame, while var variables only are able to track the whole function. So the main difference between let and var is just a scope. So controlled flow is similar to other programming languages. There's like while loops, for loops, if-else statements, switch statements. So you can do a bunch of stuff with JavaScript as you can do with other programming languages. So functions, similar to other languages again, basically reusable blocks of code that perform a specific task. The main difference in JavaScript is you can either define a function using the function keyword, you can see in the left image, or you can either use the arrow function notation. So it just makes it one line basically, rather than having it on three. It's basically does the same job. It just depends on your style, which one you prefer. So now moving on to promises. So promises is basically how JavaScript handles asynchronous operations. So this is basically things that you want to happen simultaneously. So you can think of a promise like a guarantee that something will happen in the future. So similar to an expected delivery. You order an item and then you kind of expect it to be delivered to your house. Others than you might have problems. So hopefully that it gets delivered. So in the context of JavaScript, there's 3 promise states. So the first one is pending, where it starts off as, and then it can either be turned to fulfilled if it's successful, or rejected if it fails. So how to make a promise? So the promise object is how you start off with. It's like let promise, and then equals a new promise. And the executor function, which is basically the bit after the promise, so resolve and reject. Inside those brackets, basically automatically runs and produces a result. And then the resolve and reject callbacks themselves are also there. And then, for example, here it just sets success to true, and then if it's true, which it should be always, it resolves it and it returns operation was successful. Otherwise, it rejects it. So in here you can see the consumer function, so it performs actions based on the results. So it calls the promise, and then if it's successful, so it resolves, it logs the message, so it should return operation was successful. If for some reason you change the code, I guess, to make it false, it should catch the error and return then a console.error and log the operation failed. Fetch API goes well with promises, and basically it returns a promise that you can wait for. So for example here, you can call it with fetch, and it just gives a basic API, and then you have like .then. So basically this tells you after you fetch that data, then it converts the response to a JSON format, and then with that data it logs it, and then if there's an error it just doesn't catch, so it's similar to a try catch error, and then it logs an error. So going back to the exercises, so building on the same website, we're going to firstly make a new JavaScript file. So you just make a new script.js, and then similar to CSS, so you have to link it to the HTML code. So you can do so in by copying the script tag. So now technically you can add it to the head, but the main reason why you don't want to do this is because if you place it in the head, it loads the JavaScript file before it loads all the objects in the DOM. So basically this may cause issues if you load it. Normally if you wanted to have the JavaScript file loaded after all the other content is loaded. So I'll put it at the end of the body for now. Yeah, and also copy the imsieve sound as well to the directory. Okay, so now we're gonna just add basically a paragraph. So it just has an ID days since release, and then we're also gonna add a button change name to Jack Black, because Jack Black plays Steve in the Minecraft movie. So you're just gonna add that. And make sure it's before the script tag, to make sure all the objects are loaded before the JavaScript file runs. So now we're going to add some more stuff to this CSS file. So this again is using the ID change name. So this is for the button. It's just adding some background colors and color, adding the border, padding, margin, adding some radius. So the cursor just tells the browser to use like a pointer icon. So for example here, by default, it's like a normal mouse button. If you go over like text, for example, it does like a sort of like an eye. It's like a selector. If you do a pointer, it's more like on macOS. It looks like a Mickey Mouse glove, I guess. And there's also like a transition, which is just like a small transition for the background color. So basically, this look at the background color, which is this for 0.3 seconds, and ease is just a transition type. And then again, just changing display and text align. Now again, same thing here, adding the hover pseudo class for the change name. So basically, when you hover on it, it changes the color. And also for the day since release, we're just going to change the color and adjust the styling. So right now, you can just see the button, and then the actual days since release doesn't actually show anything because it doesn't have any text here. But we'll later add it so you can change the inner text, so you can dynamically update this. But right now it just shows nothing. So first thing we want to do is play an audio file on page load. So first of all, you have to copy the file to a directory, and in JavaScript file, so to get it to work, you basically have to have this. So we
I'm Steve.
Yeah, it loaded, I guess, when I saved. So what it's doing is basically when you refresh the page, or I guess save it with live server, it calls out the code, and all this is doing is creating a new audio object based on the file name and playing that audio file. Yeah, so you already heard it, but yeah, if you refresh the page, it should play the audio again.
I'm Steve.
If it doesn't work, it may be an issue with your browser blocking the playback by default. So for example, in Safari, you may have to go to autoplay and allow all autoplay. Firefox and Chrome would have a similar option as well. So make sure you do that first to make sure it works. So now we'll do the calculating years and days since the date. So basically, we want to calculate how many days and how many years and days have passed since Minecraft was released on November 18, 2011. So basically, we still need to include this code on window.onload. So it'll be inside this.
I am Steve.
You might have to meet that. Yeah, so basically here for the date, you use a const. Most of the time you just use const in web development unless you want to change it. So you just set the release date to a new date object, and you just define it by year, month, day. And then you get the current date by doing just making a new date object, and it returns a count date. And now you want to calculate a time difference. So these dates is basically getting it in milliseconds. So you just want to do count date, take the release date to get the time difference. And now to convert the time difference to actual years and days, you just do some simple maths to just calculate this, and then the remaining days, you get total days divided by 365, and then you display the result. So it gets, using this line is basically getting the element by ID. So it's doing a form of DOM manipulation basically. So it's looking for elements with the ID days since released. So if you look in here, the button has ID change. The paragraph rather has the days since release ID. So it's targeting that paragraph. So basically we are looking at the text content and then changing it to time since my first release, and it's giving the values. So once you load it, it shows you the time, and it shows like 13 years and 133 days, which is a while ago now, I guess. The game has changed quite a bit. So now we want to change all instances of Steve to Jack Black when we click the button. So basically, since we're doing it on the button, we don't have to have it in the window.onload section. So instead, so similar thing, we have get element by ID change name. So this is targeting the ID for the button, and what we do here is add an event listener for click. So that basically just tells your browser to just listen for when the button's clicked, and then when it is clicked, it changes the name in the header. It sets the inner text to document, so sets it, replaces it with Jack Black. You can also loop through all the paragraph tags, and for each one it changes the name as well. And it also changes the document title. The document title is basically...
I am Steve.
It's not showing this. But for example, if you go into Firefox,
I am
it
Steve.
changes the title at the top, so like on the tab bar itself. And then if you go click change name to Jack Black, it changes it up here, as well as in the main title and in the About Me sections. Yeah, so in our next workshop, Intro to React, we'll talk more about how you can use promises and the Fetch API, because React makes it more easier to do this. Otherwise, with plain HTML, JavaScript, it gets a bit tedious doing all these code for it. So did anyone have any questions for the JavaScript section? Just put your hand up. I'll just go quickly over something. So for example, if you have the HTML code, and it works fine if you have it at the end of the body, but if, for example, you put it in the head.
I am Steve.
And then we open the browser tools. So in Firefox, you can just use the UI for it. So this still works, but the button does not work. And you can actually see an error. It says I can't find the element, basically. So that's what happens when you don't have the JavaScript file loaded at the end.
I am Steve.
Okay, so that's all of the main HTML, CSS, and JavaScript content. So the main things left is our next workshop is Intro to React workshop. So this is going to be a second web dev workshop teaching you the React concepts like state management, props, and hooks with some more exercises like this. So this is happening on the Tuesday, week 6 from 6:30 to 8:30 in IW 218. And then and then another thing is the Computer Science Club has an open source team, so that's run by myself, Justin, and Austin, who's not here. So basically, we do a bunch of projects, mainly web dev projects. So if you want to help contribute to it, you can have a look at the website for more, you can learn more about the projects themselves. You can also see the GitHub page to see all of our projects in more detail and what the code looks like. So if you want to join, you can scan a QR code. It just takes you to our Google Forms to sign up. So you can just put in like your name, way to contact you, some of your skills, experience, just so you can know what project you can work on best, and then interest of which project you want to work on. And then just finally, if you want to give us some feedback, you can just fill in the scan the QR code. Takes you to another Google Forms link. So if you want to give us feedback, we would really appreciate it. What happened there?
I made it so the button plays the sound now.
Oh.
Basically what everything
Is that the boss slide? Can I add something?
Yeah.
Tree, I thought you had me.
Also, guys, just a reminder, we have a quiz night that we'll be holding next Friday. If you like quizzes, if you think your trivial skills are good, you should definitely come along. It's really fun. Registrations you can find on our Instagram link in bio, or if you check our Discord events channel, you'll be able to find the details about that. It's free, it's fun, you guys should come along. And also, thank you Phoenix for holding this. We have pizza set up in the room across from the Duck Lounge. We'll just open those doors and you guys can go grab some free food.
Wait, this referred to this line?
Yes, there is. But I'm just saying the codes.
Do you not have drinks with this?
Apparently not.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, no? No drinks at all?